possess a dwarf. Not the beard!
Stout, strong, stubborn. These are some of the words that may come to mind when thinking of Gimli, son of Gloin. But Gimli isn't just another vertically challenged character with a beard and an axe. There is far more to this dwarf than meets the eye. Let's take a look at what makes Gimli such a special character. Gimli the dwarf was the son of Gloin and an unnamed dwarf mother. Famous family members included Oin, his uncle, and Balin and Dwalin, his first cousins once removed. He was also a descendant of Durin the Deathless, father of the first house of dwarves. Nothing is known of his early life except that he was not allowed to go on the quest for Erebor, Bilbo Baggins' unexpected journey, because his father and Thorin considered him too young. Gimli felt rather slighted because he was well into his 60s, but then dwarves' lifespans are far younger than that of humans or hobbits. Gimli's involvement in the War of the Ring began when an emissary from Mordor offered friendship in return for information about a hobbit and a ring. Alarmed, the leader sent Gimli to Rivendell to report on this, and thus was he present at the Council of Elrond. In the book, Gimli takes much the same role as Legolas, that of a messenger spreading news from different corners of Middle-earth. He reports the arrival of the emissary from Mordor, as well as bringing up Balin's quest to retake Moria. Balin had not been heard from in about 5 years, and his family feared for his safety. In the movie, Gimli's main role at the Council of Elrond seems to be showing his brash nature and his distaste for elves. But his protests are very much in character, as in the book, Gloin is rather nonplussed at hearing the Mirkwood elves' compassionate treatment of Gollum, while the party of dwarves was long detained and shut away from light and fresh air. When it was decided that Frodo Baggins should be the one to take the One Ring to Mordor, Gimli volunteered to be part of the fellowship, at least in part because Legolas had also volunteered and he doubted the elves' motivations. Thus he journeyed with them across Middle-earth and over the Misty Mountains. In the film, he spoke of Balin as if he knew or at least expected his cousin to be alive and well, and his attempt at retaking Moria had been successful. In the book, however, it is only after the Fellowship's defeat at Caradhras that Moria even becomes an option. There, 2 sad fates befell the group. Firstly, the discovery of Balin's tomb and the failed attempt to retake Moria, and secondly, the fall of Gandalf the Wizard to the Balrog, also known as Durin's Bane, at the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. After Moria, the weary Fellowship then entered the woods of Lothlorien. Gimli was the first dwarf to do so since the Balrog had been awakened. In the book, their elvish hosts were more than a little hesitant about his entry and insisted he be blindfolded. Gimli did not take kindly to this. To keep the peace, Aragorn suggested all members of the company walk blindfold as well, much to the annoyance of Legolas, who had long dreamed of seeing the wood. However, while in Lorien, the two went for many long walks together and became friends. Upon their departure, Galadriel asked what gift she could bestow upon Gimli. All he asked for was a single strand of her hair. After declaring to all that not all dwarves are greedy beasts, or something to that effect, she gave him 3 strands, earning him the name Lock-bearer. With the death of Boromir, the departure of Sam and Frodo, and the capture of Merry and Pippin, the fellowship was broken. Gimli remained with Aragorn and Legolas in an attempt to rescue the 2 younger hobbits. Together, the party ran 45 leagues in under 4 days, the equivalent of over 155 miles, or 250 kilometers. Upon entering Fangorn Forest, Gimli was immediately wary of the wood, while Legolas would have liked to linger. Conversely, when the pair later spoke of the glittering caverns behind Helm's Deep, Legolas showed disdain for underground places until Gimli's descriptions moved him. The pair made a pact that, once the war was over, Legolas would take him exploring in Fangorn, and Gimli would show his elf friend the glittering caverns. Later, during the battle at Helm's Deep, the two would have a contest as to who could kill more orcs. Gimli won despite his initial disadvantage. Legolas could snipe from a distance, while Gimli was limited to close quarters combat.
Don't tell the elf. Not a word.
In the film, there is far more banter between the two than in the book, but this is not out of place as it highlights their growing friendship. After the Battle of Helm's Deep, Gimli and Legolas went with Aragorn along the Dimholt Road to recruit the army of the dead. The trio later arrived at Minas Tirith with said army and participated in the tail end of the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. Afterward, Gimli also accompanied the king at large to the Black Gates of Mordor to draw their attention away from Frodo.
Certainty of death? Small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
When the War of the Ring was over and the Fellowship once more went their separate ways, Gimli brought a large number of his people to inhabit the glittering caves of Helm's Deep and became First Lord of the Glittering Caves. He and his people then went to Minas Tirith to repair the damage done and help design new parts of the city. They even built a new gate out of steel and mithril. Meanwhile, he and Legolas found time to keep their promises to one another and go exploring together. After the passing of King Elessar, aka Aragorn, it was said that he sailed with Legolas to the Undying Lands, the first and only dwarf to do so. Though he began as a proud and often hot-headed warrior, Gimli grew beyond his prejudices toward elves to become Legolas's closest friend. Strong, loyal, and good-humored, Gimli, son of Gloin, is the perfect example to A. Never judge a book by its cover, and B. Realize that, even if one has prejudices against one race or another from the time of their childhood, it is more than possible to change.